Hello, my beautiful friends, my fellow sparkly space blobs, those entering the goo phase in their cocoon or emerging as a butterfly, and everything in between and beyond. You know that I am here for all the transitional, transformative beings that we are as we keep getting to know ourselves. That is what this space is about. And for all my interesting, strange, rebellious, free-spirited, beautiful angels in the world, this is our space. And it always feels so good to come back to every time I sit down to have a little chat. And honestly, I wasn't even planning on doing an Aries season chat this Aries season because we have so much coming up. The Aries solar eclipse, Neptune moving into Aries. I feel like I've just been talking about Aries a lot recently. I was wondering, is it really necessary? And then I just realized this is a special Aries season. We don't get Aries seasons like this very often, if at all. I mean, really, this is unique, completely a unique Aries season on so many levels. And I realized it would be really nice to just have a moment and just check in. There are a few themes that I think have been really, really helping me think about how I want to move through this time period, move through this Aries season with a bit of like self-respect and centering that I think might be helpful for other people as well. Others that are like me. I know so many of us are on the same wavelength in this space. So I thought, why not just have a really casual little moment, tap into the Aries themes for this season, how we're working with it as we move through so many big shifts and explore this rebirth energy. So that's what we're gonna do here today. I woke up this morning and just decided to put this together, so we'll see where the journey takes us. But I hope that you can just get out your art, your coffee, your tea, and explore with me, journal and relax, and we can just kind of intuitively feel our way into this Aries season. So the first theme, the first centering principle that I think will be really helpful to explore during this Aries season is to play with our relationship to this idea of Aries, the initiate, and remember that it doesn't mean that we have to force everything forward at hyper speed. I think sometimes when we hear Aries, it's like, now is the time to begin, now is the time to get on it, and like, be in charge and know everything you're gonna know and just go for it and make it happen. And this Aries season is helping us to play with Aries in a very, very different way than that kind of generic description of Aries often discusses. Because part of what's so beautiful about Aries and Pisces and the interweaving that's been going on and the conversant nature of that relationship that's been going on this year is that we are working with a version of Aries that is very centered, that is very tapped into the Piscean consciousness of connectivity. And you know that feeling when you've meditated or gone for a long walk and you feel just really centered. You know what action to take. You know what you need to focus on. You can feel your individuality. You can feel your clarity. You can feel your preferences, but you don't feel like you're in a rush or you're like having to force a whole bunch of stuff through right away. That is the quality that Aries energy is starting to bring in with its conversation with Pisces. So I just like to say, like, we have all the time in the world. We don't have to rush to make this new world. We don't have to rush to make this new life path. We don't have to rush to try and hurry and fix everything, because if you think about this huge energetic initiation that the world is going through as Neptune shifts signs, as we move through these really big waves of change in the collective process, that is big stuff. That is stuff that is going to extend so far beyond this Aries season, so far beyond just simply the archetype of Aries into so many different parts of life. We are just beginning. And the more we can hold that softly, let ourselves be in that beginning point and not feel like we have to rush and get really agitated, the better. And I know like some things there, we don't have all the time in the world on like a very literal sense where things need to be addressed, things need to be shifted, adjusted, and cared for, and we can feel that urgency. But it's an energetic quality of holding our center And knowing that the more we do that, the more we're actually going to be able to take action. And it's a reminder as well that we don't want to burn ourselves out. Aries, all the fire signs, whenever we're working with fire sign energy, one of the things we have to remember is that fire energy is very powerful. It can go, go, go. It can light up and get us going. But part of the sacred duty of working with fire energy is to tend the flame, which means making sure that it doesn't burn so hot and bright that it just exhausts itself. So we really want to make sure that we are just caring for that flame as well, caring for that beginner that's within us, that little baby self that might be emerging, that new identity that might be emerging. And that actually leads me into the second theme, which is that initiation beginning it takes energy. A lot of us are going to be experiencing aha moments about what we care about, what we want to do next, what we want life to look like. We might have realizations that are coming up during Venus retrograde, during eclipse season, during this Aries season of newness and initiation about who we're becoming. And that's all really beautiful and important and interwoven with the collective process of change, I would say, often. And I think sometimes we think, okay, I have these new ideas. I'm just going to go for it. It's going to be linear. It's going to be easy. But it's important to remember that sometimes the truest new visions that come in are the least linear. A lot of times we're going to need to take care of ourselves. We're going to need to rest between big waves of vision. We're going to find that even though we know a place we're headed to, we don't know the winding nature of the road, and that we're going to have to remember to relax into that non-linear approach as much as possible. Once again, I think Aries sometimes we don't think about it as like intuitive and connected. We're always putting that in the water signs. Like that's the Piscean way, that's the Cancerian way. But I would say that Aries has its own version of intuition. And it's an intuition where it's about what feels really in alignment, what feels like a natural movement forward, what feels like something that is really calling to me and magnetically calls me forward. And that intuition means that we're learning to listen to all those little nudges that light us up, that feed that flame. And we're also learning to listen to when we need to rest and slow down a little bit. And I think we're going to be modulating between those two states quite a bit here in Aries season. And it's a good thing to remember. I'm saying this just as much for myself because I'm feeling very excited about certain visions that are coming in. And I might have a whole afternoon where I'm coming up with a whole bunch of new ideas. I feel so clear about it. And then I will have a little bit of a crash out after dinner in the evening where I'll think, what was I even thinking? That's not even possible. Look at what's going on in the world. And I'm trying to remember that when I have that low energy in the evening and I'm not in that visionary space, I'm not in that initiatory flame sparking energy, that is me caring for my flame. That is me tending to my flame. That is me working on the other side of the intuitive, which is this slow tending. Letting things burn low and slow as well in the background is really, really important. And just as essential of an ingredient in Aries season as the exciting initiatory flames. And also, I have to just say, the world is like a little baby right now. We are having to learn what we're going to be doing next in huge ways, like societal wise, like identity wise. We are in uncharted territory. And that also means we've got to rest. Can you imagine the amount of new things we're learning every day, the amount of new ideas we're taking in, where we're shifting our lifestyles, where we're shifting the way we commune? All of that is happening. So it's no wonder we're also going to have low energy moments. The final theme, and this is one that I really love, is something that I was thinking about. I was listening to a talk by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. I know many of you enjoy her Women Who Run with the Wolves, but she has a lot of chats and talks that you can listen to. And she was talking about this idea of misbehaving with integrity. And this is like the more fun side of Aries in a way. But for me, when I was thinking about that, I was thinking about how we have so many internal rules about how we've got to show up. I think a lot of us in this space, we've had to survive by internalizing a lot and coming up with a lot of ways of making it through the system. and making it through our lives. So we have come up with a lot of ways to do that. And now we have these internalized structures that do mirror a lot of the external structures and the policing of ourselves. But this is a beautiful season to misbehave with integrity when it comes to those internalized rules. Like, what expectations, what inner demands, what structures just are not feeling right for you? And where can you give yourself some play space to misbehave? This is another application of intuition, actually. When we step out of some of our routines and structures that we've been using to kind of make sure we stay in line and we're on top of our lives and everything, and we break that up a little bit, we misbehave with integrity. Misbehave is in quotation marks too, because really what we're doing is we're reworking the weaving. We're really reworking the fiber of our day-to-day. We are coming into a new way of seeing our life, our day, our existence. And we are also noticing where we're getting called. We're noticing where our vision is calling us. We're noticing where our energy is shifting and changing. And I love the idea of reclaiming that ability to not just feel like we have to conform to systems, or that we just have to conform to all the demands of our day, and that there are little spaces and pockets for that integral and integrity-based action that might break some of those internalized rules, some of those internalized ways we expect to see ourselves. And the final thing I just want to say before we get into the cards is that this is an Aries season that's also very interesting because it's almost got like two different sides to it. We have the first half, which is during Venus and Mercury retrograde, during eclipse season, and we have the second half, which is going to be softening out of the retrogrades, the end of Aries season. That last week is going to be a lot of clear moving energy. And so we are still working with the very liminal, the very mysterious, while also working with this really clear sight. And it's a really interesting combo. They actually are two sides of the same coin. They work very, very naturally together. They really need each other, but it can sometimes feel a little bit like, is this how it's supposed to work? And it's just a reminder, once again, all of these things are things that I am sitting down really intentionally. I'm filming this like the day before the equinox, the day before Aries season begins. And I've just been taking some time to feel through that because it's been a pretty intense few years for me personally. I have like basically lost an identity when I immigrated from the US to Sweden, and I've been going through this like grieving and reassessment process where I've gotten to know myself at these much deeper levels, and I'm starting to see like the next phase arrive, and I really realized I need to make sure I'm tending that flame. Make sure I'm caring for these big waves of energy, and then the self that is still there that needs reassurance, that needs rest, that needs integration, that needs not to always be in high speed visionary thinking all day long. So I just felt like, all these notes are really notes to myself. Maybe I'm just sitting down here to remind myself of things I need to remember. King of Swords came out, which I just really love. Speaking of integrity, the King of Swords is a very integrity-focused energy. It's mildly related to the Justice card, and we are going to have that full moon in Libra during this Aries season, which is going to herald the end of that eclipse energetics and kind of welcome us into deep, clear-sighted energy. And the Fool. I kid you not, that card just wanted to jump out. I'm going to keep it there because I think this is so perfect. This is so representative of the core energy underneath all of these notes that I even mentioned today in our chat of clarity, of new beginnings. The King of Swords and the Fool. Here is the great discerner when it comes to our day-to-day, kind of discerning where to put our energy, what to pay attention to, how to act, kind of laser vision seeing what really, really needs addressing. And then the Fool is a little bit more of the cosmic, spiritual, energetic experience of misbehaving with integrity, of turning things on their head, of trying things out. And what I really love about these two is they really balance each other out very well. King of Swords is a little more on the rational side. So this is going to be, well, you need to have a meal and drink some water and maybe follow up on that contact or whatever, like, do that caring, giving thing or whatever it might be. And the Fool energy is a little bit more of the, I'm gonna go ahead and not follow through. I'm gonna listen to what I need and just rest for the rest of the day. And we need both of these, right, to help foster new vision into life. And you can play with this. Every one of us is a little different with our mapping on this. For me, I actually need more time with the Fool than I do with the King of Swords. But having the King of Swords, knowing their place in my life, knowing when it's correct to tap into that is also very, very helpful. But these two cards are also about seeing a new world, seeing a new way of doing things. And I think we're still very much in the mess of everything, obviously. Like, that is for sure the case. But there's this undercurrent of newness, of dawn that is arriving. And I'm really curious to see what comes up for you in seeing those cards. I will be offering up, you can check out my activations and practices for the eclipses that we're working with this time of year. I'm also working through our Venus retrograde journey, which is all about wild dreaming and how do we reclaim this kind of surrealistic sense of art creation and hearing our intuition. And every week I'm releasing a new practice, so you can catch up on all the wild dreaming we have been doing, and that's in my space so far on Patreon. That is where all of my resources really are, where I'm able to really give you a lot of support, a lot of safety, a really safe landing place in this wild world, and where I get to do some of my most empowered work. And it's a great way to support me too. I make it really affordable so that you can join whenever you want and leave when you need to. So I'd love to see you over in that space. And I'm going to be back very soon for the solar eclipse. And then Neptune is shifting into the Aries for the first time in many, many years, decades and decades and decades. So I am going to be back very soon. We're going to keep talking about Aries for what feels like forever, but it's a great thing. And I feel like I'm reconnecting to this archetype. What are you feeling as we connect with Aries season, as we step into this next energetic phase? Are you feeling some of the agitation or fatigue? Are you also feeling these big waves of excitement? I'd be curious to hear if you're feeling that really interesting combo. I definitely am, and I'm sure that I'm going to be needing to lay low later today and let myself integrate after moving through a whole bunch of energy. So let me know in the comments how you're feeling. I hope to see you back here for our next chat very, very soon, and I'm sending you so much love.